We have so much Resident Evil 9 news. There was so many interviews that were done this morning, and shout out to Aesthetic Gamer, aka Dust Golem, for pointing out all the important information from all those interviews. There were several RE9 interviews going up on this morning. I'll try to summarize most important Resident Evil Requiem. Real quick before I go down to what he's stating. RE9, Grace Ashcroft, face model Julia Pratt, and Alyssa Ashcroft, face model Kate Delic. I think they did a good job picking these people for the faces. Okay, let's see what Dust Golem has to say. Capcom says Resident Evil 9 on PS5 Pro will run at a stable 60 frames per second with ray tracing on at 1080p image quality. No word on other version settings. The director confirms the new monster is not Lisa Trevor. That's crazy because the sound effects used are placeholders that will change in the final game. I know a lot of people have speculated that that sound was Lisa Trevor, and it was, but it was just a placeholder. That's good to know. RE9 sorta the return of Raccoon City, and they wanted to return the city of Raccoon City, Umbrella, etc. through a lens of horror. Zombies are 100% confirmed to be in this game as main enemies, but like much else in the game, they'll be both familiar with something new. I can't believe it. We're actually going back to zombies. Thank the heavens. I appreciated when they did some new things with the BOWs and stuff like that, but when you get away from what makes Resident Evil, you're losing the concept of the game. So now the fact that the zombies are going to be a key focal point of enemies, it's amazing. Monsters were a big focus for the team for Resident Evil 9. They say there's a large spectrum of monsters in the game, including several familiar ones or callbacks to previous monsters, but trying to make their scariest renditions to date. Say how first person is best for immersion, third person is best for a sense of character. So that's how they approached it, applying differences to both cameras' perspectives. So first person would be more immersive, while third person would show off more of the characters, show off more about the characters, balanced in the game for the differences. The return to Alyssa was a natural choice for the story they wanted to take. Someone who investigated too closely about the cover-up of Raccoon City, who was silenced for getting too close to the hidden truth, and Grace picking up the torch to find the truth of the murder of her mother. That is important. Just that information is just like why they chose this. I love it. Idea behind the new Stalker was to be one who stands out from the pack, envelops the archetype, and immediately conveys, oh, I need to get away from this. Say the Requiem subtitle has multiple meanings for RE9, but as a big one is remembrance for the dead. Capcom says, if you think this is that, oh my god, I can't read. Capcom says, if you think what was in the demo was scary, you haven't seen anything yet. They worked hard to make this the scariest Resident Evil they've ever made. Say along with fear, they focused a lot on player emotion and pushing the desire to move forward through the spectrum. They're saying they have tried to make this Resident Evil the scariest Resident Evil ever. I can't wait. I'm playing this in the dark with a heart rate monitor. I can't wait for this. Pushing the desire to move forward through a spectrum of feelings ranging from beauty to tension to empowerment to sadness. Want the game to journey to be a roller coaster of emotions. Game isn't meant to be a non-stop fear, but want to deliver on the scary where it's meant to be scary. RE7 and RE8 were a duology, and RE9 isn't a continuation of Ethan's story, though there's a connection with those games. RE9 is more generally trying to move Resident Evil as a whole forward. RE9 is more than a backwards looking nostalgic fest. It is more about the series' future. Say Raccoon City is not the only main setting of Resident Evil 9. Game wasn't originally planned on for the 30th anniversary, ending up that way due to development. Say they blended fresh innovations and fresh character with familiar things fans will recognize. Apparently, Big Mama was held at Gamescom as one of the names they heard. She stated she started oh my god. She started smaller in dev, but scaling her up and making her crammed in her felt scary in concept. Of course, there's new weapons. Of course, there's weapons in RE9, many different kinds, including new weapons for the story for the series. I appreciate that they're always thinking of like new weapons that you could put into this game. I appreciate that because like what is like a main staple is the knife, the pistol, the shotgun, and the sniper rifle. So what are we gonna get as a new weapon? I'm curious to see. Say there's a longer curve to how the game handles tension and release. Want to sit longer in horror than past titles. The release for longer as well. While there's a lot of connections to past games, lore mysteries of the series, they worked hard to make Resident Evil 9 pretty standalone and open to new players coming in. Grace being a fresh face and this being her first encounter with all this and delved into this whole world she doesn't understand plays part of that. A big focus behind the scenes for them was to challenge themselves and show the early prototype footage of the canceled version in part of the show they've been working hard at and had challenges in figuring out where to go. But they came upon the direction they wanted. They think it's substantial and exciting in the series. I could keep reading. There's so much more that Dusk Golem says, but the main gist of it is basically it's not Lisa Trevor. They are really big into first and third person, and this game is gonna be sick.